Let's make some Christmas crafts. For this one, I've got this mouse Christmas ornament here that I got from Walmart. But you could use any little mouse. You could find one thrifted, or I haven't seen any at Dollar Tree, but you never know. Just a little stuffed mouse. I wanted my mouse to be a little brown mouse, and so I'm going to make a dye for his fur. I'm taking some weak coffee here, and I'm going to mix in a mixture of some instant cappuccino, some instant coffee, and a little bit of cinnamon. And I also put some of that territorial beige acrylic paint down in there too, and just made it dye. You don't have to worry about these granules of the coffee. They're going to brush off easily once he's dry. He also came holding a little plastic candy cane, and I removed it before I even started recording. And you can see there where the hot glue was, once he dried, that the stain that I made didn't stain that one part where that hot glue was. When I bought him, he had a little blowout in his foot. He had a little bit of stuffing sticking out, so I just fixed that with some hot glue. And then I wanted to cover his hat with some different fabric, so I just wrapped it around and hot glued it. And when I got to the back, I made sure to fold over the edge of the fabric just to make it look nicer. I should have cut off the entire top of the hat and just left the very bottom, because the top of that hat ended up getting in my way. But I'm basically just playing around with this until I think it looks good. I'm trying to make a little bit of a poof on the top of his hat there, and I end up taking some little scraps of fabric and just gluing and making sort of a little pom-pom on the top of his hat. To make a matching scarf, I just cut out 2 strips of fabric and just going to hot glue this to him. I am going to return his candy cane to him later, so I make sure that where the scarf is hanging down isn't going to be in the way of the candy cane. I remove the plastic ribbon off of the candy cane and I give it a coat of cashew chalk paint. I don't end up using that twine that I had out there for a second. Instead, I use this thin gold trim that I painted with some true burgundy acrylic paint. I have this food can here, and I'm just going to give it a generous coat of Mod Podge and then coat that in cinnamon. Then I go over that with a matte clear sealer. Once the paint was dry on the little candy cane, I wrapped that ribbon around it, which wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, getting the stripe to look good. This will be a printable in the description box for free if you're interested, and I just printed that onto some ivory cardstock and I tore the edges. I did take a little bit of antique wax and aged up the edges. If you used a decent amount of sealer and sealed in that cinnamon very well, then you should be able to just use hot glue to attach this little sign to the front of the can. Putting the hot glue exactly where the old hot glue was on the for the candy cane, I just gave him back his little candy cane and closed his arm so that he's holding it. I used paper towel to fill the bottom of the can, and then I just decorated around him just a little bit with some Spanish moss and some faux Christmas florals. Those foam berries usually do need some paint touch-up, so I just used a little bit of that true burgundy to cover up where the red was missing on some of those berries. This is just a quick reminder that if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That way you don't miss any future videos. This craft is sort of 3-in-1. I don't usually like to just paint something and call it a craft, but I wanted to show you how you could take some of these cheap ornaments from the Dollar Tree and give them a makeover, and I'll be doing 3 different techniques on these snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. For the first ones, I'm just going to do Mod Podge, and then on one I'll be using the mixture of instant cappuccino, ground coffee, and a little bit of cinnamon. And then on the other one, I'll just be using just cinnamon. For this one, I'm going to be taping off this little plastic jewel in the center of the snowflake because I'll be doing a different sort of painting technique on it, and I didn't want it to get painted. So I just used some tape and took my knife and went around there and covered up those jewels on both sides. And then I took some truffle chalk paint by Waverly and gave it a coat on both sides. For this one, I'm going to take it outside and give it a coat of this camouflage paint that I got from Walmart. I thought it was a nice green color. Once the paint dried on this one, I went over it with some gold leaf rub and buff. Now you can see on that one side where it still had the tape, I thought that looked really nice, and you could just leave it like that. And just paint over the jewel. I thought that side looked good as well, but I'm going to take some Mod Podge and a little bit of brown food coloring, and I'm going to paint this jewel. It looks very not see-through right now, but once it dries, it will be translucent. I liked that camouflage color, but I like this English ivy color better, so I gave it a coat of that. You can see here how that plastic jewel looks once that Mod Podge dried, and I did like the look of it, so I went ahead and took the tape off the other side and did the same thing. On the ones with the cinnamon and the cinnamon mixture one, you want to wait for it to dry before you do your top coat. I took a skewer stick and just made sure that I wasn't getting any clumps inside of the holes, because I wanted to be able to tell that it was a snowflake when I was done with it. Now, I wanted to add some of these berries, and I wasn't sure about the look I was going for, and so I did it one way on one side and one way on the other. They both look fine, but I ended up liking the side where I put just 3 in the center the best. But sometimes you just don't know what you're going to like until you do it. And then it was time to just make some hangers, and if I could have found just my little generic metal hangers, ornament hangers, I would have just used them, but I couldn't find them, so I just quickly made a few hangers for these. So here's the before and after for these ornaments. They are definitely more rustic, more traditional looking, and look less like plastic now. I bought this paint set from the Dollar Tree this year. It's in the shape of a snow globe, and this will be a printable. It's from a 1924 Farm and Fireside, the cover of a magazine. And I just sized it to the size of this little snow globe stand here. And I'm going to sand off some of that glitter so it's not so it's not sticking up so much. And then you just want to try to center it on here as best as you can. Then I just use Mod Podge to attach it. Most things that I Mod Podge, I go back and give a coat of Mod Podge to the outside as well. I don't always show that part, and sometimes I just don't seal them in. But it just depends on how long you want your craft to last and what you're going to be doing with it and where you're going to be putting it. If it's going to be, in a kitchen where it might get splashed with water or kids might play with it, then you definitely want to seal it in. But just for time purposes, I don't always show me sealing things in, but that is always a good idea. I took a Christmas greenery pick from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to give it a coat, not a full coat, but a coat of this English ivy green from Apple Barrel, just to sort of make it a little less shiny, a little more matte, and to darken it up a bit. And then I just added some of these berries and a couple of tiny pine cones, and that's it for this one. Very easy. Let me know what you think about these down in the comments. And those printables for the two crafts will be down in the description box. It'll be a direct link taking you straight to the free printable. But thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.